Read Roy is Rights by Robert P. Fitton. Miranda's raven hair flew behind her as she ran across the backland. Her first memories were of this area. Now the colony was nearing the 70 Orpheus system, and the imposing virtuality of Earth, hovering in the dome above her, made her wonder what the new planet would yield. Planetary scans showed no intelligent life on the surface. Odd dreams and the guardian memory irregularities were widespread throughout the colony. At the observation wall, the second colony valley was visible from the surround path. "Roy! Roy!" Miranda panicked when her guardian lagged behind. Many times lately, Roy could not keep pace. He was with her when she was born and supposed to follow her throughout her life. His high-pitched whistle had alerted her ahead to his presence, and his rounded reflective body rolled up the pathway. He enunciated every syllable as he spoke.
"Your mother will be looking for us. We are not allowed in the second colony without permission."
"Oh, you're so human, Roy. For a guardian, that is. In fact, in every way you're like us. You feel, you think."
"That is my design."
"Yes, and yet you serve us. What about your feelings, Roy? What do you want?"
"Guardians have no status. We cannot express our feeling."
"Oh, guardians have feelings. I know you do. You have neuropods." Miranda stared across the valley as she spoke. "I've always pictured the second colony as 70 Orph."
"If you were allowed inside, you would not want to look."
Miranda smiled and tiptoed around the surround path. He placed her fingers on the backland transparency. A central transport track, raised high on support trestles, bisected the tapering green valley. We should all be allowed to enjoy the openness of the second colony, yet here we are, penned within the megacity. Why?
"Miranda, you are too young to be speculating about all these things. Soon we will orbit the planet."
"I want to know. Please, Roy, please." Roy's woven aqua absorption patches brightened. "Please?" His voice sounded clearly through the black perforations under his patches. Miranda always believed that a human being lived behind those patches rather than a constructed machine.
"The destiny of man left Earth with a charter allowing everyone in the valley."
"A charter was written on Earth," said Miranda.
"Yes, you are listening during your instruction. You are very bright."
"Roy."
"This charter provided the guidelines for the journey into space. Our primary purpose is to make contact with new life forms in the 70 Orpheus system. You will see that planet soon."
"We will both see it, but Father says the planet harbors no life."
"Maybe not, but what is life?"
"Anything that survives, like you, Roy. You have substance." Roy turned from the valley and faced her.
"Guardians have always been machines for mankind."
"How can that be true? You feel, you love, you hate. You've been given those qualities. What do you think, Roy?"
"It is not for me to say. No one likes a mouthy machine."
Miranda smiled, pushed back her hair, and gazed through the transparency. "Nor a diplomatic one either. And I still don't understand why we can't enter the second colony."
"That was not the original intent. The backland was an area of rest and peace, but power groups developed over the centuries. Only the elite generally use the valley. The rest of us gawk through the surround wall, wishing we could enjoy the open spaces."
Roy sputtered and his receptors flickered. "Roy, are you all right? Are you affected by the planetary approach?"
"No, that is different. Almost like everyone's bizarre dreams, I fear a shakedown."
"What does that mean?"
"Nothing. I'm all right."
Miranda leaned on the surround wall. The megacity's massive beehive appearance represented confinement. Thousands of windows stared toward the backland as the sun hung low in the dome. "The sun is not a reality. I wonder what it's like to have a real sun, a real planet. Maybe 70 Orph is like that. To live on a planet and not pretend to be inside the megacity's virtuality. To escape. Roy, do you wish you could escape yourself?
I don't understand.
Have movement, feeling, love.
I have all those qualities. All guardians do.
But no official status within the colony. Miranda hugged his cold, smooth shell. I love you, Roy.
I love you too, Miranda.
She wished she could get inside and really hug him.
Our time grows short. Your mother will be worried.
Miranda focused on her mother's clear green eyes. Mother, what is a shakedown? Oh, nothing. She at once turned away and went back to the access screen, but Miranda followed her. Roy says the same thing. Her mother looked up from the screen. Sometimes guardians don't always function the way they should, dear. I think you are reaching an age where you will begin to see things as they really are. Is he sick? She placed her hand on Miranda's cheek. Yes. Roy may need to be supplemented with another guardian. No! Tears welled in Miranda's eyes as she backed away. No, how can you say such things? He's my friend. It's your friend. Someone constructed Roy. Someone can fix him. All guardians are supplemented. It's a part of growing up, Miranda. Things change. You'll understand that when you get older. I don't understand it. What about Roy? Does anybody care about how he feels? You just send him into the compactor like some machine part. What about his spirit? Roy is a guardian, a machine. Roy is my friend. Her father stood in the outer passageway. Oh, I'm glad you're home, Mark. What did they say? We're closing in on 70 Orf. The colony chamber will be sending representatives to the planet. Then we'll all disembark. But we've seen no sign of life on the surface. Disheartening after hundreds of years in space, to say the least. I had the same dream last night, said her mother. Something or someone calling me, reaching out. Miranda threw her arms around her father and he held her hand against her long hair. I don't want Roy to die. Roy is a guardian. Guardians don't die. They're supplemented. It's the law. A new one will be granted to you. She looked into his dark eyes. Fix him. How about how he feels? Anything that feels should be considered. It's easier to supplement guardians. A new guardian will seem the same. We can make sure its voice is the same, and we can call it Roy if you like. He wouldn't be Roy. Miranda broke her father's touch and ran into her room. She flung herself on the bed and pounded the sleeping blankets. Her muffled voice mixed with tears soaking the blankets. You can't let Roy die. You can't. She could hear her father at the doorway talking about traveling to the planet. His voice swung toward her. Tampering with a guardian is a crime, Miranda. Miranda turned over, wiped her eyes, and sat up. He feels just like you or me. He has consciousness. Guardians have no status. You'll understand that when you grow up. Maybe you'd understand if you weren't grown up. Miranda and Roy made permissible journeys on the planet, but when she overheard her father talking about supplementing Roy tomorrow morning, she ventured with Roy further away down the vessel's landing area. The sandy plains and rocky hills fostered no life. She knew her father and then the other mega-city leaders were disappointed. He had spoken all her life about humans making contact with other beings. She had always imagined tall, thin creatures reaching out with spindly hands within a lush forest. Will they transform this planet and make it like the second colony, Roy? Roy paused on the rich, strewn slope. His patches didn't glow as brightly as when he spoke in a lower voice.
That will be beyond our lifetimes, Miranda. We really should go back. They will find us.
No, they'll supplement you.
It is inevitable.
Miranda held his heat-warm shell. I won't accept it. They started down the incline again. Roy led her over to the third rock hill. Maybe she could hide him out there. How far are we from the encampment?
4 kilometers. Miranda, your mother is calling on my frequency. Please accept what you have to do.
I don't want you to die, Roy. She stopped at the top of the ridge and hugged him in the sunlight.
I am not too keen on it either.
I can hide you out here.
For how long? You only have food and water for a few days, and how long can I survive without maintenance?
Miranda sat on the boulder. The elongated colony ship filled the hazy, distant plains. Roy, I had the best dream, like something took my mind.
I felt the same thing yesterday, something tugging at my consciousness, wanting to take me like a virtuality.
Yes, that's it. Tugging, trying to take over. And as I dreamed, I offered no resistance.
We all hoped for a planet full of life and have found nothing.
Maybe. She stared across the hazy desert. There has to be a way to save you, Roy. My father is afraid of breaking the law.
A valid concern.
Roy scanned the plains.
To journey so long, so many generations, all geared toward contact. A waste. What has the destiny of man gained?
Father says a new chance.
What can he say? When you grow up,
I don't want to hear about growing up. She stood and walked by him, placing her hands on her hips. The blue sky against the desert, although lifeless, contained great beauty. Why do we need to contact intelligent life anyway? Can't we find our own way? Roy moved closer.
Miranda, sometimes I think you're older than your years. I don't understand what you mean.
She smiled and put her hand on his rounded form. They don't see it either. They're all sad because there was no one here to greet us. So what?
I suppose humanity has to chart its own way, as always.
Miranda bent down and held both sides of his shell. His patches were dimmer in the sunlight and she feared a shakedown. Most of us were never even allowed in the second colony, Roy. Oh, they're all so sad because there was no contact when they can't even give their own, like you, a fair chance. They can't even let you live. They would argue I am not alive. You are alive. You have being. They can't see that essence unless life has evolved biologically on a faraway planet.
You may be right.
She leaned against Roy. She feared the day that she would not have his touch or listen to his thoughts. They have created in you what they searched for, but they're so eager to destroy consciousness.
And what is consciousness?
Asked Roy. I don't know. An awareness, feeling that awareness. Can you feel the beauty across the landscape, Roy? Can you see the happiness in my eyes when I see you?
Yes, I feel.
Exactly. And they want to supplement you. In certain ways, they supplement themselves by their own ways. She nodded and closed her eyes as she nuzzled her head against him. Growing up was not something she wanted to face. Things were much simpler on the colony ship traveling through space. When she was younger, she never had to think about things like being supplemented. Roy, I want to explore this place before you have to be supplemented.
Like the old days.
Yes, like the old days. Miranda lurched on her travel pack as she followed Roy along the rock ledges. In the afternoon light, a wide darkened area in the red-shaded rocks caught her attention. Roy cautioned her about not going back to the encampment, but she insisted upon investigating the darkness. In a few minutes, Roy rolled up to the edge of a nearly indiscernible rock rim. Miranda scooted up behind, put her hands on a sphere, and looked over. Sure is dark.
I hear something like bells or musical tones.
She perked her ears and tilted her head. I don't hear anything.
An assortment of frequencies. I assume these frequencies are naturally occurring.
Miranda kept her hand on Roy's shell as she approached the edge. Now she heard the tones inside her own head, increasing in intensity like 1,000 bells reverberating into the desert air. She felt beads of light dart out of nothingness and quickly disappear. Roy, it's all inside me. It is.
Yes, I feel it too.
She sensed an odd conveyance as she and Roy were drawn forward to whatever was linked inside. Genetic structures are not important. Let your spirit bring forth and join us. Shed your bodily shell. It is not too late to understand who
You really are.